Hello and good evening, and welcome to the Triple Option Seminole Rap Tomahawk Nation collaboration. We are so excited that you're joining us tonight, and we are so excited because the recruiting dead period has come to an end, and we are here to bring you all of the updates, everything we know, maybe break down some film, but really just celebrate because I don't know, it's like I'm like a kid at Christmas. I'm so excited because we just haven't had anything like this for a long time. But before we get going, let me introduce myself. My name is Tim Allenball. I am joined by David Stout of Tomahawk Nation, recruiting guru, and I am joined by 2/3 of the triple options, the best looking parts of triple option. I have Kingpin
Taking
himself,
shots.
Coach AB Adam Brown. Adam, how are you, buddy?
I'm great, Tim. Man, I am so fired up for this.
I didn't even say, David, how are you? I'm just giddy. David, how are you, bud?
The high-pitched screaming you've been hearing is me. That now that June is almost here and we're doing a May Madness midnight event, dude, I am geeked.
Yes, and then also Kevin Little. Kevin running the all the electronics for us, making us look good. Kevin, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing pretty great. I've been really diving deep into cover 7 concepts, and then I look up and people tell me recruiting stuff is going on. So I'm glad to be a part of this conversation.
I'm upstairs like watching Star Wars cartoons with my kid, and Kevin's talking about cover 7 concepts. That's just where we are in life. But hey, I'll tell you where we are right now with Florida State football. We are at this moment, we are like 2 hours and 42 minutes away from the dead period officially being over, well over a year at this point, in which recruits could not take official visits to campus. If they were on campus, coaches had no way of making any actual person-to-person contact. It all had to be either via Zoom, yes, with the quotes there. And so now all of the artificial rules are gone. And Florida State looks to be just flat out embracing this. The coaches have been all over Twitter with countdown videos, with just ridiculous popcorn holding, shushing other people. Like, they are just, it is so night and day from where we have been in the past with coaching staffs. I'm geeked out. I'm excited. But David, let me talk to you first real quick. What what impact do you think this extended dead period had on Florida State through the 2020 class, or the 2021 class, and even at the beginning of this 2022 class?
Oh, it's huge, and it's an impact that I don't even know that we're going to know the full impact of it for maybe another cycle or two. Because what's so exciting about this for me is that now we finally get to see what the staff can do with actual on campus, in person. Like, oh my God, what a concept. But the staff has been behind the 8 ball for the vast majority of time that they've been at Florida State. And so, I always reference this. What's amazing to me is how many kids, whether they commit to Florida State or not, they reference this family feel that they get from the coaches. We're talking about, them being able to sell a family feel without these kids even seeing campus. I mean, for crying out loud, 2 of the defensive ends that they wrapped up at the end of signing day last period had never been to campus before. So it's amazing to think how many obstacles were placed in their way because of all this dead period and the, frankly, the incompetence by the NCAA, very poor communication. But the staff just rolls with it, man. And it's very, very clear that they're huge on relationship building. They're huge on just talking ball, teaching ball, whatever the case may be. We've seen that through these awesome camps that they're doing. And now we finally, after what, a year and a half, over a year and a half, we finally get to see what this staff is going to be like with a full array of weapons that many other staffs have had as they've been recruiting against FSU. So I'm super excited, man. We're kind of going into unknown territory here, but all the signs that this staff has given us so far are pointing upwards. So it's going to be really cool to see how far they can go.
Adam, I wanted to kind of tag you in for a second. You and I have kind of talked a little bit. I've seen you kind of reference your high school days, and you had a little exposure to the recruiting game, even way back then. The ability to establish a relationship and then build on it over an extended period of time is what this staff didn't have the luxury of doing.
Right.
With them coming in at the end of a season and trying to piece together a class as quickly as possible and then rolling right into a pandemic, they just haven't had that benefit that several other staffs have had. But if I'm being honest, Adam, I feel like they should be further behind than what they are.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is a testimony to their organization, though. Like I really believe that Mike has a plan, and he has a way of going about achieving that plan. And he's got goals, and he's got a way of going about achieving those goals. And they've done the best that they can. They've played the cards that they've been dealt. But like David said, I mean, really now it's time to shine. Like it almost feels as though there's a black cloud being lifted off this program right now. A massive weight, the monkey on their back, so to speak, is being lifted off, and they're now going to have an opportunity to go out there and do their jobs with all bullets in their gun. You know what I mean? Like they're just going to have everything at their disposal now, and that's huge for this program. Really, it's something that they haven't had since they got on campus after those the 3 days in March. So. Yeah, look, relationships are the key. They're the king of everything. You know, kids have got to be able to look at you and trust. Families have got to be able to look at you and trust that you're going to take care of them and get them where they want to go. And getting them around your program and seeing that, okay, yeah, we went through the Willie Taggart years and we heard all these things and these guys said all this stuff and told us all these things, but they never followed through. Now we can see that Mike Norvell and company, they have plans to follow through, and they can show that they can actually see through what they're talking about.
Yeah, and talking about having all the bullets in your gun ready to fire, this staff is ready to fire, and they're showing that with what they're doing tonight. 24/7 Sports broke news earlier today that Florida State is hosting a Midnight Madness event with several big name recruits. It was first kind of like headlined by 4-star quarterback AJ Duffy, who's a commit, 5-star defensive back / 5-star receiver. Let's just say what it is, Travis Hunter, and then also Sam McCall, and then the list just keeps growing. Josh Newberg and others have dropped other nuggets, such as Julian Armella. They're going to be on. And the staff has just been going crazy. And so, like, they're hitting the ground running. They're not even, like, waiting till, like, oh, let's wait till actual June 1st day of. They are going at midnight. I don't know what they got going on. I'm sure Bartow and those will be tweeting out pics and other things. But the staff is wasting absolutely no time in hosting an event. David, what are your thoughts there? Like, how smart is this by the staff, basically borrowing from college basketball and doing a Midnight Madness here?
I love it. And, the funny thing is we talk so much about how excited, the kids and their families and everything are to finally be visiting campuses. Like, how freaking excited are these coaches? Like, they literally could not even wait until the morning of June 1st. They had to get this going as soon as the clock strikes midnight. And that tells you how much joy they take in the recruiting process, how badly they want to meet these kids rather than just, being on Zoom or texting with them or whatever. They want to meet these people that they've been talking to. And it's cool. I mean, AB and I were talking a little bit before we started recording, like this almost kind of has a feel to maybe like a Jim Harbaugh type gimmicky thing. I don't think Mike Norvell is bringing sleeping bags or any weird stuff like that. But, it's something that if it were to go badly, you could potentially look at this and be like, wow, that was kind of a disaster. But kind of like AB said, man, I mean, the level of organization that Norvell has shown so far, and just the fact that all of his assistant coaches, all of the support staff, Bartow, all these guys, they're all on the same page, man. I mean, they speak the same language, and they know, I would assume they can probably even finish each other's sentences by now. And so it's going to be really cool to see how that organization comes through, because to this point, we've only really ever seen it in these camps that they do, these youth camps, and, nothing, the structure or the spotlights that are going to be on this thing. So I think it's innovative. I don't know of any other programs that are doing this. We may hear of some in the next few days that did something similar, but the cool thing about this is, like, we always talk about the importance of the last official visit for high school kids, because you want to get the last crack at these kids. You want to be the last thing on their mind as they're going into these decisions. Well, this staff hasn't even gotten a chance to meet some of these people. So they want the first crack at these kids. They want to set the bar really high for all these visits and these campus visits that these kids are going on. They want to be like, every single place you go after this, we want you to compare them to us. We want you to we want you to see how high we set the bar. Can any other school match this? And that immediately puts the other schools on the defensive. So I love it, man. I love the attack mode on this stuff, and it'll definitely reverberate, as we know that Travis Hunter should probably be getting paid salary for how well he's been recruiting. But I mean, this is going to reverberate through social media. It's going to reverberate through word of mouth, high school coaches, all that stuff. So it's going to be really cool to see how far the ripple effects go with this thing.
Yeah, Kevin, I don't know if you've seen Travis Hunter on campus as a teacher assistant, is he in the staff meetings? But I mean, that kid's everywhere.
Yeah, no, he's not hanging around the chemistry department that I could tell, but
I mean, think about what's going on right now. So you're piggybacking this Midnight Madness event off of the youth camps that you just had for the last couple weeks, which was a massive success across the state.
So cool.
Leading up to the mega camp on the 5th. I mean, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible what Mike Norvell's doing as a recruiting. And I'm merely speaking as a recruiting coach right now, what he's able to do, how he's going about establishing these relationships with people across the state and people in the Southeast, and what he's just being able to bring to Florida State as a recruiting entity only. Now we're not talking about on-field coaching. We're just talking about recruiting. It's incredible what he's doing and what he's accomplishing right now.
Which has long been the biggest question mark with him, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Which is incredible.
Yeah, you made my mind go in so many different directions there, Adam. I'll try to draw myself in. I saw one of the coolest interactions on Twitter from, I think he was a coach that saw that they were putting on a camp down in South Florida, and he basically tweeted "Oh man, if I had seen this in advance, I got a kid I would have brought up." And I think it was K Camp and McMillan, or one of them, basically said, "Hey, bring them on up. It's not too late. We'll get them registered right now." And the guy ended up making it up there with the kid. And it's just the fact that they seem to be really wanting to, how do I say this correctly? They're making it look like this is not just a business. They actually, which to an extent, I think they do care about these kids and they want to develop them. And it's coming off as authentic, whether it truly is or not, but it's definitely, I think, making the state feel that ripple effect. Dave, I think you and I kind of talked about that in Slack one time. These coaches seem like they genuinely care.
They really do. And it ripples down to even, like you said, the graduate assistants. It was so cool for McMillan to reach out like that. But on Slack, Coach AB mentioned, you kind of get a sense that maybe Doofy Dan and Manny Diaz are kind of like, crap, did we just miss our window? Kind of have this feeling of this could be the start of something. And I don't know, man. It's very exciting to be a Florida State fan who follows recruiting right now. There's no doubt about that. And if I'm a UF fan or I'm a Miami fan, I heard that Miami has some little cute cookout or something that they're doing, I don't know. I'm kind of wait a minute, these guys may not be the doofuses that the last staff was. So maybe we need to be paying attention a little bit more.
And you know that they're going to say, "Oh, look at this! They got to do this dumb thing," and just like we would make fun of Jim Harbaugh, and that's fine. I mean, that's what the rival fan bases are going to do. But at some point, I agree, they've got to pause on some level and say, "All right, maybe these guys do have their stuff together." And it's almost, Tim, you were talking about everything. It's almost as if Mike Norvell and his staff are all about that hashtag work. It's almost as if they say it and they actually believe it.
Oh, I would, no doubt, I would fail miserably on Mike Norvell's staff. I'm
No way.
I think, I'm a pretty good worker, but seeing that, I'm sitting here thinking, these guys are going to be up at midnight with these recruits, and they're probably going to be up till, who knows what time into the morning. And then they're going to be having a full onslaught of people coming all this week. You just got to think like Coach Dilly is just pounding the coffees or
Oh my
monsters or
God.
something, or he might not even need it. I think he's just naturally.
Who's
But,
keeping Odell? Who's keeping Odell awake?
Exactly.
They're weekend
got
at Bernie's
propped up
Odell
in the
while he's
corner?
asleep.
Yeah.
Adam, let me ask you this question. There's about like 19 to 20 confirmed names that are going to be on campus for this Midnight Madness. Who do you think is the most important name that they're getting on campus for this event?
Oh, who's the most important? All right.
Yeah.
So non-committed, I'm going to say it's Kevin Coleman, and I'm going to steal David's, but I'm going to let David talk about it because I know that's David's boy. All right. So I'm going to say Kevin Coleman, but I'm going to let David talk about him. The most important, though, and I don't. He's committed. He's been committed. He's not going anywhere. But it's Travis Hunter. That kid is the best football player in America. He may be the best football player in America that's come out in the last 3 or 4 years. He's hands down. He is the recruiting staff. I mean, he is an absolute monster on the trail, and he's even better on the football field. So he's the most important kid anytime he steps anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we need a dedicated Tomahawk Nation user to start a Twitter account titled "Is Travis Hunter ranked #1 yet?" And they need to tweet out an update at Rivals and 247 every day until they get him ranked #1, because every single event he goes to, I read about another writer or another scout going, I knew he was good, I just didn't know he was that good.
Yeah,
It's unbelievable. And I think David has said it over and over. I think he's going to come to Florida State and he's going to be a star on both sides.
He does, man. He's that rare kid who has legend potential. There's not many of those. And, the term legend or GOAT or whatever gets thrown around a lot. That's really rare. It's really rare. And Travis Hunter has that potential. So yeah, AB could totally read my heart on that. When AB said that Kevin Coleman was coming, I freaked out because he, I keep trying to tell myself, Bama, 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 and wide receivers. When Bama really gets their hooks in a kid, typically they don't lose him. But there's just something about this Kevin Coleman recruitment, the fact that he's as close as he is with this staff, but also he's super close with AJ Duffy. He's super close with Travis Hunter. He's super close with a lot of the kids who are kind of circling the Florida State radar right now. So, I wouldn't be ready to say, oh, he's going to be in a class, because it will depend on results on the field, just like with many of these other kids. But FSU is toe-to-toe with Bama on this. And to get Florida State out of the doldrums and into that next level, they have to win one of these every once in a while. We don't expect them to win these all the time, but every once in a while, you got to pull an upset for a kid. And that would be the Kevin Coleman recruitment. And then outside of Coleman, huge deal that Julian Armella is coming, because it's funny. I feel like the national beat, especially Rivals, will just crap on FSU whenever they can around that. They say, oh, his father went there, but he talks to LSU all the time. He's going to leave the state of Florida. They love to do that. But yeah, he's going to visit those places. He's intrigued by those places, but he's coming to Florida State first. Like, they get the first crack at him. And so it's really important to have him, just like AB said. The most important kid that walks in the room is always going to be Travis Hunter, because he is the alpha. He's going to be the alpha the minute he sets foot on campus. He already is, basically. You get Julian Armella around an alpha like Travis Hunter, around a Sam McCall, around an AJ Duffy. Those are the kind of voices you need in his ear, not just coaches, not just recruit staff, shadow staff, whatever. You need the other alphas and the other dogs in the class in his ear to kind of get him in that mode. So it's really cool, man. I love what 24/7 is doing, like Newberg kind of hamming it up and being like, in another hour, I'm going to tell you the next.
Yeah,
I think that's really cool. And
I agree.
We talk a lot about, the different sites and all that stuff, but it's important to remember, we're a free site. We're not really competing with these guys for clicks or money or anything like that. And so it's really cool to see the impact that Ryan Bartow has had on 24/7 Sports, that they have a direct, lifeline to this team and the lifeblood, which is recruiting. And so big kudos to 24/7 on this. It's been really cool to see them do this.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be a big upswing for them moving forward.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So before we go any further with Midnight Madness, let me kind of flip it up a little bit, because before this Midnight Madness even broke, we were already planning on recording tonight because we wanted to talk about some of the big names that are coming in for actual visits, not just the Midnight Madness. So we've got a couple of names we want to talk about and go through and kind of get David and Adam's thoughts here, and also, of course, Kevin jumping in with his
I'm
insight.
here too.
Yeah, definitely is. Adam, I know one name I don't think we have video of, but transfer target Kane Madden, offensive lineman, is supposed to be on campus tomorrow. I mean, I almost wonder if he might even show up at the Midnight Madness event, but fingers crossed. This is huge, and the fan base might not see it as huge because he's not a tackle. Adam, why is it so important, or why would it be such a home run if Florida State were to land Kane Madden?
Why is it all right? So Kevin and I already have a videotape for Kane.
Yeah,
Madden
we're ready.
We're
ready.
We're ready for him to go ahead and commit so that thing can drop. But why is it huge? I mean, he just brings the floor way up. I mean, that's the biggest thing for these guys right now. We've got to establish a 6-win floor and hope for a 9 or 10 win ceiling. I don't think 10 is realistic at this point, but it's just about getting that 4 to 6 wins and making sure you're there and you're solid. And he's a kid that steps in at right guard, starts immediately. He's an All-American type player. He just brings a solid day-to-day player to your offensive line that you've lacked in years. So he's just going to bring consistency. He's going to bring great pass blocking, great run blocking. He's just a really good player, and he's going to elevate the floor of this team to where they need to be to ensure a successful season.
The addition of Madden will make this offensive, if he were to commit, would make the offensive line depth that Florida State has like the best since probably 2015.
Yeah, around there. Yeah,
something like that.
Yep.
Which is crazy to say, but going back to Jimbo years.
I mean, you're going to have a solid 10 or 11, depending on Thomas Schrader's health and whether he's going to be available at all this year or not. But you're going to have a solid 10 or 11 guys, and they're not all going to be young guys, which is great. And then it's going to allow you to redshirt a Rod Orr and get him ready, not rely on a Lloyd Willis this year, not rely as heavily on a Darius Washington who's still developing his body. So it's just that, again, it's about establishing that floor, allowing you to develop that depth and get those guys playing time on your terms and not on the opponent's terms or the depth chart's terms. So I mean, it's just huge. He would be a massive get for them.
So let's talk about the next name. I know, David, you put out a list earlier this week, actually last week at this point, about names that are going to be on campus. So the first one I wanted to talk about, and Kevin, I think you got some film for this. It's offensive tackle Elijah Pritchett out of Carver in Georgia. He's a 4-star. He's 6'6", 280. He's a big man. I know that, all the big dogs are after him, like Alabama and Georgia. But the fact that he's coming to Florida State the first week of the dead period being over, it's awesome. So I didn't know, Kevin, if you wanted to go ahead and bring up that video, and we'll kind of turn it over to triple option a little bit and get some of your thoughts here on the breakdown of Pritchett's film.
Yeah, so here it is.
Yeah, I mean, he's a true left tackle.
Yep.
Look at the explosiveness. Look at the agility out in space. I mean, you see the ability to bend up through the lower half. I mean, the ankle bend up to the knees. He doesn't bend in the waist at all, which is great.
Yeah, he just looks so fluid, doesn't he? Like that first screen. There's a reason he put that first.
That second clip, it's something that I've seen Florida State tackles miss on over and over. He lets the man go on the inside because he sees it's the outside guy's his responsibility. Oh my! How many times have we seen the Florida State guy bite on the inside guy and in the end just has an absolute bull rush at the quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, just
God, look at that.
It's the flexibility and mobility that really stands out about this kid. Like his ability to pass set, get that kick step. It's just fluid.
It's all about his athleticism, but then you start to see the toughness. You start to see the grit, the ability to finish blocks, which is something that's another box you want to check. David, can you update his recruitment at all? Kind of what's going on, when we expect him in?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, yeah, you guys touched on it. I mean, the one word that comes to me when I watch this film is just finisher. Like I think every single clip we've seen so far, he puts the kid in the dirt. I mean, that's just fantastic. I love seeing offensive linemen when they just Michael Orr kids like that. That's fantastic. But yeah, Elijah Pritchett. So, kind of as Tim said, this is a kid who is definitely on the national radar. This is someone who Alabama, Georgia, they've prioritized this kid. But Florida State's right there. And I've been preaching this since he was hired. Alex Atkins is going to pull an upset one of these days on the big boys. And as of right now, if I had to call one, I'm not saying he's going to commit to Florida State or anything, but Alex Atkins has Florida State right there among the driver's seat programs with Elijah Pritchett. If I had to say, where he was going to go today, it's tough to go against an Alabama. But I mean, Florida State's they've been positioned right there, and he is expected in to visit campus sometime around June 6th. And so with that, FSU, I don't know if he's going to hit any schools before then, but FSU is going to get an early crack at him. And Elijah Pritchett is the kind of kid that all you have to do is put on tape of the last 2 or 3 years, and Alex Atkins just leans back in his chair, looks over at him and be like, oh my God, we need you. Like literally you could step in and compete for playing time right off the bat. And so, it's cool to be here with AB and Kevin and hear them break down some stuff. I love hearing that. It gives a whole nother dimension to it. But this is a name that Florida State fans do need to kind of follow on this, because he may be the most talented lineman that FSU has a really realistic shot at right now.
Yeah, and I know Rusty Manziel from the UGA 24/7 recently said that he felt like Florida State actually leads for him right now,
he sure did.
Which is big.
So let's stick at the tackle spot and move to another guy by the name of Daughtry Richardson, offensive tackle, 6'4", 285. He's down at Miami Central, but he is from the Tallahassee area. He's expected to be on campus, I think, next week.
June 11th.
Yeah, Kevin, I don't know if you want to bring up and look at some film there, and let's get your guys' thoughts there.
I know Florida State fans got very concerned recently when he announced he's going to be taking an official to Miami. Don't worry.
Yeah, seriously, don't worry.
Another athletic kid. He's a little more of a project than what Pritchett was. But you see the length. He's got a lot of length. Look at that frame. Look at those arms. Holy moly. I think he can touch.
Yeah, he just swallowed that guy.
Now, Adam, I know he's a little bit shorter than maybe you'd want at tackle, but he's got the frame that you want at that spot, right?
The biggest thing is he's got the arms. The length in the arms is what's massive for tackles. You want something, I think it's like over 54.5-inch arms is really ideal for tackles. That's NFL level, but you see good athleticism, you see a good kick step. I don't think he's as polished as a Pritchett was. He's a kid who's moved around high schools. I don't think he's probably been in as successful a program his whole career as a Pritchett was, but you see flashes. I mean, look at him get off the ball, low, flat back, head down, just dry blocking people.
Yeah, to me, I see something very similar. It's all about the frame. He doesn't quite have the quickness that that you saw before with Pritchett, and but I mean, you just can't deny that frame. He doesn't have the drive or the finish quite yet, but those are things that you can fix. And at the end of the day, you can't fix the arm length, and the feet that he shows with the kick step, and just the fact that he's in the right position in all of these clips.
Yeah, I know we talked about Darius Washington needing to still develop, but that's the one thing that always stands out about Washington is he has that arm length.
Yep.
Even though he's a shorter tackle, and that's when he has success. It's usually because of that. So that's a great point, Adam, with what he has there. When you see Richardson really block, you'll see those arms extended, and it's so much space.
Yeah, man. When he engages, he does not let go. Once he gets those meat hooks on people, man, you're not disengaging with him until he says it's okay.
Yeah,
And yeah, David. So, like we kind of mentioned, he's supposed to be on campus June 11th. Anything else that you wanted to add there?
Yeah, I always joke around whenever Daughtry's like, oh, I'm going to release a top 6. It's going to be like 6 different FSU logos. So before he went down south, he played for, I believe, Godby High School. And so he knows the area. His family knows the area. He's really comfortable with Florida State. I mean, he is a very, very strong lean to Florida State. When he visits officially, I would definitely have him on commit watch. I think probably the only reason he wouldn't commit is if the coaches are like, hey, hold off just a little bit. We want to see you go into your senior year a little bit more. Yeah. But if he's given the green light, he'll be part of the class, no doubt in my mind.
All right. So the next name we want to look at is a linebacker, another place that Florida State has a need. We're going to look at EJ Lightsey out of Fitzgerald, Georgia. He's currently rated as a 3-star overall. I think he's a little underrated there. 6'2", 210. As Kevin brings up his film, this is a kid that I think has all the makings to be like your prototypical linebacker that you want now. I think, David, you and I kind of talked about that previously. That's changed in college football. What are you looking for in a linebacker nowadays?
Yeah, it really has shifted, hasn't it? Like, gone are the days of the 6'3", 240-pound road graders in the middle, you know? Now you have to be able to get across the field sideline to sideline laterally. You have to be able to cover. I mean, you don't have to have quite the coverage skills of necessarily a safety or a cornerback. You have to be able to cover a tight end now. You have to have enough speed that you can stay with those guys. And so where it used to be just, you know, you see those big road graders with the, you know, the neck rolls and their neck, you know, all that kind of stuff. Those are getting phased out. And it's not that they're bad players. It's just that the game has shifted to speed. And so now you have to have athleticism. You have to have speed. So you're going to see a lot more guys that maybe they're 6 foot, maybe they're 6'1", maybe they're under 6 feet tall. Maybe they're like 195, 200, $190, whatever the case may be. But they can still hit, they can use their leverage, they can use their speed to bring guys down. So we're seeing in some of the linebacker prospects that Florida State's going after, the EJ Lightseys, the Wesley Basaints, those kind of guys, we're seeing that new prototype coming in. So that's going to be a shift for FSU fans to keep in mind.
All right, Adam, let's do what you do best. Break this down for us.
Trying to find him here. Where's he at?
Yeah, I think he's playing Sam backer here.
Yeah. I mean, you see the good burst. It reads the rollout.
4.5 speed.
Yeah.
Just look for the guy that's a foot taller than everybody else.
Exactly.
He's finding daylight. You know, these linebacker highlights are always kind of iffy to me because I don't know. Yeah, it's great to show this kind of burst here. I want to see him in coverage. That's the biggest thing. But you see the ability to run here, which is great. But you see the ability to run forward. It's a different thing when you're running backwards. So I always want to see that. It's great. He's on a blitz here. He's showing that athleticism against an athletic type quarterback. You want to see him get him on the ground, but he stays. He gets back up on his feet. He's violent, obviously. Slippery, getting through holes on blitzes. Like I said earlier, he shows that burst.
So where would you position him?
He's probably a will.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was seeing with his frame.
Yeah, and the will's protected well. The will's I mean the will's protected in this defense. He's got that 3 tech in front of him. The will's going to tend to be more of a free runner, but it can also be asked to play out in space some.
Yeah.
Depending on the formation.
To give some reference, the Sam in any football nowadays is going to be more of a hybrid linebacker safety role, and the Mike is going to be the closest thing to what we were talking about, like those 90s linebackers that just take people's heads off. Still not quite that, but I mean, I think he lies somewhere in between the Sam and the Mike, just a good athletic guy that could fit in the box relatively consistently, but you probably don't want out in space as much as a stud.
No. Yeah, the Mike's as close to box players or box linebacker as you are going to get, but still, these guys have got to be able to play the seams.
Yep. Or running backs out of space.
Yeah.
Yep.
David, I think he's going to be on campus June 11th as well. I think he's kind of been talked about as an FSU lean. Anything to add there?
Yeah, he is. I would consider him. He really likes Florida, and he really likes Florida State. He's not said, to my knowledge, he's not said anything about any other visits that he's going to take. But I mean, this is a kid who has over 20 offers from across the country. You know, Arizona State's looking at him, Arkansas, those kind of teams. And so this could kind of boil down to a good old-fashioned FSU Florida battle. I'm sure that Georgia Tech is very much on his radar. I don't think he's quite up to snuff for a Georgia prospect right now. So Florida State might use that to its advantage. I think as of right now, if he were deciding tomorrow, it would be between Florida and Florida State. And he's been on campus previously and absolutely loved it. So this is the first visit that he's locked in is with Florida State. So again, I think what's going to be really interesting about the month of June is the strategy that we're going to see. Are they going to try to lock down guys that they know they're going to want in the class? They've seen enough of them right now, even if they eventually end up being kind of towards the bottom of the class in terms of, you know, talent or fit or whatever. And how many of the guys are they in good shape with that they just see, we just want to see more of you. We got to see a couple games in your senior year. We want to see some progression. Here's what you need to work on. We want to see it show up in game film, whatever the case may be. So this is going to be really, really insightful to see kind of how the different boards at the different positions are going to break down. And EJ Lightsey is a guy they could potentially give the green light to him. They may ask him to hold off a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of where they view different prospects coming on.
Another linebacker name to know, I correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he's got a visit set up yet, but it's Daniel Martin, also out of Georgia, Marietta, class of 22, 6'2", 95, 4-star, top 150 type composite kid. He's a name that's really starting to get more talk with Florida State. David, like I said, I don't think he's got a visit set up yet, but this is somebody that Florida State is really trying to get on the radar with, right?
He is so athletic. So again, this is another 6'2", 195. You look at him and you think, well, maybe he looks a little bit more like a safety build. Nah, man, this is what linebackers are going to look like in the next, 5-6 years. But he has played linebacker, defensive back, wide receiver. He plays kind of at all these different positions. And he plays linebacker like a DB, if that makes sense. Like you can tell that he's scanning the field. He's got good field awareness. He can watch and just kind of diagnose plays, see what the tight end is doing. And you really kind of see his athleticism come through in his highlight reels.
Yeah, he's at that stud role, the Derwin James type role.
Yep.
Just being able to do everything.
He is hands down my favorite linebacker prospect.
Oh my God. Yeah. That first highlight where he just annihilated that kid. Oh my gosh. That got me out of my seat.
But there, I mean, you start to get a glimpse of him. I mean, look at this.
Yeah. This would be a linebacker, folks. This isn't a safety we're watching.
Yeah. I mean, they're lining him up at like that Fox position kind of feel, like defensive end, and then he's out in coverage. That's incredible.
He's playing a little end there. Yeah. I mean, that's great. That's great stuff.
They use him all over.
He looks a little wiry, but he's actually put together pretty well, right? I mean,
he is.
Isn't he like 215-ish, something like that, 220?
Yeah, he listed at 195. I'd put him at probably 205.
Yeah. But there, great contain.
Oh, God.
Just finishes.
But to be 205 and be able to be lined up at defensive end just shows you how just versatile a kid like this is.
And then go play wide receiver.
Yeah.
Right.
Look at this.
And catch a freaking tunnel screen and then pull away. Oh.
Run away from
I think this is against
corners.
Brookwood, right? Yeah, Brookwood.
I think so.
That's a squad. Brookwood is a team.
Yeah, he's cerebral. You can tell this is someone who has a pretty high IQ.
This is championship football player right here. That's what this is. This is a kid you build a championship team with. He can do a lot of different things. He does them all well. He's really smart. Yeah, this is the kind of kid you need on your program. This is the type of kid that's been going to Clemson the last 5 years and been killing you.
You're exactly right.
So David, where does Florida State really, I guess, line up right now with not Coleman? I'm sorry, getting ahead of myself with Martin here.
Yeah, so we weren't totally sure where FSU stood with Martin because as Adam mentioned, Clemson is one of the teams pushing for him. LSU's up there. Georgia wants him. He's got, I think if he doesn't have 20 offers yet, he's well on his way to getting 20 offers. So he visited FSU, and he liked it. He's kind of more of a quiet kid. So we're kind of like, well, hopefully they can circle back around. Just got word that he's trying to set up potentially multiple visits to FSU's campus. So he really made a connection. And I'll tell you, one of the things that we've been talking about a lot, I know as a TN staff, is Chris Marv, right? Like, so when is Chris Marv's name going to start coming more out of these kids' mouths? Like, when is he going to kind of show up on the trail? This is a flag planting recruitment for Chris Marv. If he can pull a kid like this, it really kind of gets you on the radar of, okay, FSU's not playing around.
He was just.
So we'll see, man.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. David's saying all this smart stuff, and I'm like, man, this kid's really good.
Is it? Yeah, it's his plays are mesmerizing. I could watch his highlights. He's at a different position every highlight.
Look at that, he's running a friggin' flag route out there at X receiver. Like, come on. He was just playing free safety. He's running a flag at X receiver. He's played DN. He's played linebacker. Give me a break.
Stupid.
Let's drop a bag. Let's go.
I know you kind of mentioned the name Derwin James up front, but that's exactly Auburn did with James in high school. I mean, he played all over the field for them. So
yeah, he's underrated. I mean, as of right now, I think they've got him. I think he's a top 150. I think he's in the 140s. I'm like, show me 140 kids that are better than this kid.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I don't think that's the case. So
yeah, this kid's
he'll
exciting.
be a riser in the rankings.
Playing zone coverage, makes a tackle on the other side of the field.
Good eyes.
That's normal.
Yeah,
Good.
freak.
Sign him up.
All right, we're getting into David Stout territory. We're going to talk about some guys at wide receiver. First up, Kevin Coleman, on campus, or supposed to be on campus now at 2 hours and 2 minutes from now for Midnight Madness. He's out of St. Louis, Missouri, 5'11", 170, five-star kid. He's ranked as the number 2 wide receiver in the nation. If we included Travis Hunter, he'd probably be number 3. But this is a kid that, especially with Duffy coming on, it seems like Florida State has just been putting on more and more, I don't want to say pressure, but just more and more momentum, more and more attention. And I think it's massive that they have him on in town tonight for this. And, David, I think this probably made your Memorial Day weekend when you found out that Coleman was going to be here.
Oh, I freaked out when AB dropped in the chat that Coleman was going to be there. I was like, oh! And my wife was like, "What? What, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, just freaking out over a 16-year-old. It's fine, totally healthy." But no, Coleman. So the cool thing about Coleman is his high school coach is actually Tommy Pauly. So former Florida State linebacker Tommy Pauly. So he's had a little bit of an FSU. And now Tommy's. He's a delegate. Like he's not gonna totally crush FSU on all these kids like he should, but he knows about Florida State, right? From his coach. His coach is a mentor to him. But Coleman, you guys are gonna see when you watch his film. I just sit there with a smile on my face because he just, man, it's hard to fathom. I mean, I'm even trying to get the right words, right? Because he's almost 6 feet tall. Yeah, he's almost 6 feet tall. He's about $175, but he is like a laser. This is the kind of kid that quarterbacks love because you can throw a 2-yard dump screen to him and he'll take it 80 yards for a touchdown. So all of a sudden you got 80 yards passing and a touchdown, right? And all you had to do was a 2-yard dump screen kind of a thing. But in terms of the return game, you're going to see some serious highlights with him in the return game. Coleman is the kind of kid who could probably set foot on FSU's campus right now as, not even high school senior yet, and he's probably going to be in the rotation at kick return, and he may win the job. He's got blazing fast speed that you're going to see, really good hands, and he's an underrated route runner. I mean, a lot of kids who are this fast, they just rely on their speed because they know they're going to outrun everybody, that kind of stuff. He actually works at his craft. He's unafraid to go across the middle, which I love. He can make the tough catches, even when he knows he's going to get blown up by a linebacker or a safety. Look at the way he just weaves through traffic. It's ridiculous.
Camera can't even keep up.
Yeah, he's a glider.
Yeah, I mean, kids like this, when they're so talented that they just make it look easy, it's so cool to see.
Good hand catch.
Calls the shot right there. Oh, love it.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of that kid from West Virginia in him.
Oh, dang.
Bang. I mean, just gorgeous. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Just a little pitch, and he's gone.
Yeah.
Nobody even
I
touches
can
him.
see that.
And he just, just for the fun of it, he cuts back in.
It looks easy. Yeah.
That's the kind of speed. Florida State's rosters, especially at the receiver position, have been lacking.
Yep. That's the kind of stuff that FSU used to be known for. We got to get known for it again. I mean, this is his highlight reel. Just takes these tiny little dump screens and bam, gone.
When was the last time we had like a true elite slot receiver?
Yeah.
Ugh.
And you get to see the ability of what he could bring as a return man. Oh,
yeah, here we go.
See him return. Here we go.
Just enjoy the show.
Coach AB going all Nostradamus on us right here. Just
first off, that was extremely well.
It really was.
But yeah, I mean, the kid's he's probably a 4.4.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah, definitely fun to watch.
Yeah, here we go in the punt game. This is where it gets fun.
Yeah, Norvell would have a lot of fun with this kid. You start putting him in a lot of those over routes that we've seen him like to use off of play action. I mean, this is a kid that's going to catch a 80-yard bomb a game.
Mm-hmm.
You get him activated in the RPO game.
Yeah, here you go. Something like this.
Little jet action.
And look, he still shows the toughness. He runs through the tackle. I mean, he's not just a one-trick pony with speed.
So, David, do you like this guy?
I kind of like him. And I mean, look at that. Just put a kid on his ass. And I love that kind of stuff.
Can they beat Alabama for him?
That is the question, man, because this Kevin Coleman is exactly the kind of kid who goes to Alabama, gets a couple 1,000-yard seasons, and then gets drafted into the NFL. He is what Bama looks for every cycle. So again, this is another flag planter recruitment.
He kind of looks like Devontae.
Isn't he? That's the name that comes to mind too.
Yeah.
Now, David, let's just kind of talk about where the recruitment looks. I mean, Coleman's probably a kid that's not gonna.
Woo! Look at that! Oh God!
I don't think he's gonna commit early, but I think. Does Florida State have a shot, Coleman?
Florida State absolutely has a shot with Coleman. And again, it's so hard because we've been conditioned in the last 5 years or whatever to not get our hopes up and not even consider FSU a top contender for this. But he really legitimately likes FSU. And like I said, not only does he have that connection with the staff that he finally gets to see in person. I can't even say how big it is for them to get him on campus all the way from Missouri. This is huge. But he has great relationships with some of the guys who are committed already. Again, we talk about these alpha dogs. Kevin Coleman is an alpha dog. He's another alpha dog. You want him there so that he can get in the ear of other kids. And something that we've heard, I don't know this to totally be true, but I do think it probably is true, is that Norvell and the gang still have to kind of sell his parents on Florida State. This is the time you do that. If you can win the parents over, you got a great shot at it, man. I mean, he's going to visit Alabama. He's going to visit. He's wanted by a who's who of. I mean, any college program would want this kid. But FSU is going to be right there. And I'll tell you what, I'm not a gambling man. I don't even know how to gamble. But if he were deciding today, I'd put him in Florida State's class. I think that's where they're at right now.
I like it.
I agree. I second that emotion there from Coach AB. I like that. We got one more kid whose film we're going to break down, and then we'll kind of talk about just a couple other names just very briefly. But another wide receiver / tight end, Jalil Skinner out of South Carolina, 4-star kid, top 100 player. He's supposed to be at Midnight Madness tonight. And David, I think if there was one name to know that could be committing over the next 24 hours, I think it could be Jalil Skinner.
Yeah, for the 2022 kids, he's definitely a name we have, and I don't know that he would necessarily commit tonight, but he's really feeling FSU lately. And we mentioned Florida earlier. Florida could have had this kid locked up 6 weeks ago. They could have had him locked up. They didn't do it. We've always heard, well, if Clemson jumps into the fray, he's going to commit there. It'll be over. Clemson did jump into the fray. He didn't commit there. It's not over. Florida State has really really been getting momentum with him. And now he's finally coming to campus. He's going to be at this event. It's going to be really, really hard for him probably to say no to this. If they ask him, are you in tonight? Now, it's a whole nother thing. Does he stay committed? That's something we're going to have to monitor through the whole rest of this summer and as the season starts. He is feeling FSU, man. And this would be one that the Gator staff would be like, damn, not only did we lose him, we lost him to Florida State.
Yeah. I mean, this kid just spent the weekend with Travis Hunter and AJ Duffy out in California at the quarterback retreat with Whitfield, and now he comes to Florida State with those guys to be at Midnight Madness. Yeah, I think if I had a crystal ball, I'd be putting one in. I'm just saying.
Read those tea leaves, baby.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah,
but this is a big kid. I mean, he's the new school tight end, the new school split Y, but he plays the game like a wide receiver.
Yeah, 6'5", 210, and he also plays corner for his high school.
You see him high pointing the ball there.
Yeah, gorgeous.
I mean, Florida was selling him on being the next Kyle Pitts, and you see it in his game.
That's really where a lot of the modern offenses are going. Miami had that kid, I forgot his name, Brevin Jordan, and then Kyle Pitts. When you have someone this dynamic on the outside, you can also line up at tight end. That's how do you defend that?
Yeah, you ice him out at that. You ice him out at that X position on the backside. Let him do his work against a corner.
Yeah, you put a 5'10", $175 corner against him. What are you doing?
Yeah, he's in matchup nightmare.
Right. Or you motion him inside with that 5'10" corner, and he's gonna block you.
Yep.
How many kids is that right there? 6 kids couldn't bring him down.
I wouldn't. They're showing him lined up here at tight end with his hand in the dirt. I wouldn't expect much of that at Florida State.
No.
Yeah.
I'd be looking at a lot of this.
Yeah, he'd be a great compliment to Coleman, though.
Yeah.
Imagine both of them on the same side of the ball.
I'm not sure Florida State's even recruiting him as a tight end either. I think they know he's going to be a wide receiver. They're going to put him in that. They're going to put him in that slot. And
he can punt too, so that's a thing.
He's a punter.
Oh,
sign him up.
Oh my gosh!
Look at that, 70 yards, no big deal.
Can he kick? Because Ryan Fitzgerald, I don't know.
Yeah, do we have any kickers coming in this weekend?
Come on, David, take that bait. Come on.
I'm trying. I'm biting my lip till it bleeds. Yeah, the kids like this are. You look at someone that big and you say, how can they run that fast? How can they be that athletic?
How is he beating that corner? What are we doing?
It's wild. Yeah, I love the kind of the H-back portion of all of this. You just get to see how. Just nothing you can do.
That's great, and that's what they need. They need mismatches. They need guys that can fight for a ball. They need guys that can line up against some of these old school linebackers that they do get to see against, like BC and stuff. They got some of the slower kids, but then also put out on an island against some of these corners.
Well, there's one other name I wanted to talk about. We don't have film, and I know that here at Triple Option, you all have already done a film review of this. It's quarterback commit AJ Duffy. I know you guys did a lot of information there, but he was at the QB retreat as Coach AB mentioned, and just got a ton of praise. I know Tom Loy was one of them over there at 247, just talking about he's the real deal. And it's exciting. I mean, now let's just kind of put this caveat. I think Florida State's got to have a successful season to hold on to AJ Duffy because he's such a big name that if he's worried about the future, I don't think he sticks. But let's say that Florida State's able to hold on to this kid. I think that he's a quarterback that can really change the direction of your program. Adam, I don't know if I'm going out too far on that, but do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I think he's a big-time quarterback. 6'2", like 220-ish. I mean, he's got the size, he's got the delivery, the ball comes out quick. He's got some things he's got to clean up. Kevin and I were talking about it the other day, and I'm sure he's going to touch on a little bit with holding the ball a little bit higher in his cradle. But yeah, I mean, he's got the arm velo. I think he's a kid who's going to be able to make all the throws. You see him in the RPO game. He's going to be coached very well down at IMG, so he's going to come in advanced. I mean, that's huge, but it is, we laugh about it, but it's huge. So yeah, he's a kid they need to hang on. I like Nico, Marchiol, and all that, but look, AJ Duffy's the prize.
Yeah, and I think the fact that he's here at Midnight Madness as well, with, you know, I don't know if I'd call AJ Duffy the alpha, because obviously that's Travis Hunter. But I think when you get kids like him with Hunter and McCall, it just breeds this atmosphere that, like, AJ Duffy sees what Hunter's doing and the momentum and the hype, and he wants to also bring that. So he's really starting to sell Florida State as well. Working with teams in my past, that kind of seems how it is. You get one guy that kind of like starts to really push it, and then all those other, like, right there at the same tier as him, but that just aren't always going to come out of their shell right off the bat. When they see somebody else stepping out and doing that, they follow that lead, and it just builds and builds and builds. And I think this Midnight Madness is just going to be crazy for them. And who knows, probably in the future, we might see other programs do similar Midnight Madness when when dead periods end. And we can kind of look back to this night and circle with Florida State really kind of kicked off some new fashion or trend here. David, thoughts on Duffy? And then I have one specific question for you, David.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head. He has kind of this magnetic personality. And one of the things that was interesting about Duffy is when he did that, he'd do the 7-on-7 circuits and all that kind of stuff. A lot of kids would come back and they'd be really impressed by him, and not necessarily, he's got a really quick release. He can throw some frozen ropes. You can see just flick of the wrist and it's a rope. But people would talk about his personality and say, well, that's someone who's got a lot of leadership potential. And my goodness, has FSU missed that leadership potential, especially at a position like quarterback. And that's not to keep piling on, the quarterbacks FSU has had in the last few years, but it's kind of to pile on the quarterbacks at FSU. Like, it makes a huge difference as a coach, as a teammate, whatever the case. When you have a gunslinger coming out there who's confident in himself, he's confident in you as a teammate, he's confident in his coaches, that makes a world of difference. And from a wide receiver perspective, that's one of the key things I always loved in any quarterback I played with. I didn't want a guy who was unsure of himself. I didn't want a guy who, wasn't the best communicator and would have to, if I bring a play in, all of a sudden he's like, wait a minute, what play is that? And I'm like, oh God, just hand it off. You don't want to have to explain things in a huddle. And so when you have a kid like Duffy, who is going to be a leader in the locker room and out on the field, as a coach, it gives you a great amount of confidence as you're working with him, because he's someone who's bought into what you want to do.
Kevin, I know you and AB did that series, but what's the one thing that really stands out to you the most about Duffy?
Just from his film, it's the polish this kid has. A lot of these kids you see check the boxes. He's 6'3", he's 200 whatever. He can run a 4.7 40. Throw the ball 60 yards, but he makes some really tough throws, and that's something that I kind of criticized Chubba Purdy when we got him. Was he checks all the boxes, but he's not making the throws that you need to make to be competitive at the next level. And that's kind of the difference between what I see as, like, a 4-star quarterback and a high 4-star quarterback, or even 5-star quarterback, is, are they doing the things with that talent at the high school level that translates directly to the college level? I think AJ Duffy is a kid that you throw out there freshman year and can immediately start on a good D1 football team as a freshman.
I was kind of wondering that earlier myself. Is Duffy a kid that could see playing time as a freshman at Florida State? I think there's definitely that possibility. So one last question, David. Julian Armella. You and I have been talking about Armella since back, probably you, me, and Coach AB have been talking about Armella since I think Bud hyped him up to us, I think like in his freshman year or something like that. Hey,
I think he was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, there's this kid whose dad used to play at Florida State. Let's see what happens to him. And then we've just been talking about him forever and ever. And if I'm honest, I feel like Florida State had really kind of fallen off with Armella. He didn't show up at the spring game, even though he was mentioned as somebody to be there. And if he does show up now, in an hour and 44 minutes for this Midnight Madness, I think that's huge for Florida State to be putting their hat back into that ring.
You're absolutely right. And, with Julian Armella, the top 4 teams that you hear consistently with Julian Armella, you've got Alabama, you've got LSU, you've got Miami, and then you've got Florida State. And so as of probably the last month or so, you're right. When he didn't show up to the event, we thought he was going to, and who knows what happened. I mean, a lot of times these kids have rides fall through or something happened, whatever. It could have been completely unintentional. It could have been intentional. But when that happened, and he always says the right things about Florida State in every interview. You see, I got my family connection. My dad went there. The coaches are working hard. I really like Coach Atkins, whatever. LSU is definitely recruiting him the best right now. I would say, like, if he was choosing today, he'd pick LSU. There's no doubt in my mind. Alabama's going to be there just from the potential of how many guys they put in the league. Makes sense. Miami, really close to home. Mom, I'm sure, would be very happy about that. We've heard that he has a better relationship with his mom than he does with his dad. But we've also kind of heard that relationship with dad might be improving a little bit more. And so for them to get him here, like I said, hopefully it will staunch all these comments about, FSU not being there or whatever. It'll give them the first crack at things. And with him being here at this event, they're going to be able to shower him with a little bit more attention than they would have had he come to the previous event. And so this may actually work out in FSU's favor because he'll get some more one-on-one time than he would have the other way. FSU definitely has catching up to do. There's no doubt about that. And he is a recruit that the results on the field are really going to matter to him. So that's going to be important. So don't anybody freak out and be like, oh my God, Julian Armella is going to commit to Florida State tonight. He's not. But this could be a big step in getting FSU back in that mental thought process of, yeah, I really like LSU, but man, Florida State's right there too. So that's what the coaches are trying to do tonight with it. And that's something that fans should know. If you don't follow recruiting, or if you do follow recruiting, some people may think that an event like this is designed to get commitments. It's not. An event like this is designed to build relationships or to sustain relationships or to improve relationships. Are they going to get some commitments out of tonight? They probably will. They'll probably get 1 or 2 kids to commit. But this isn't about trying to load up your class like Mac Brown, Texas style, where you get everybody committed before the season starts. This is them shooting their shot early on and saying, there's more to come. Like, you come here, we're giving you a preview of this. Come see us again during the season. Come see us again after the season. Just keep coming. And so with this, it's an event designed to recruit the student athletes themselves, recruit their families. Hopefully some family members will show up. Hopefully some high school coaches will show up. Like, this is kind of a community event that, we've been telling you all these things over Zoom. We've been telling you all these things over text and via the phone. Come see it in person. Come hold us accountable for doing what we said we were going to do. And I have a feeling tonight could go really, really well for the staff, and it's going to give us a ton of stuff to talk about, hopefully on future episodes of this.
Yeah. Adam, give me some thoughts here just to close it out. Like, the potential that this staff has. I don't know, I'm kind of putting you on the spot there, but just what they're doing. I know we've kind of touched on it a whole lot, but what do you think the potential of this staff is?
I think they've got national championship aspirations, and I think they've got national championship capabilities. So we'll see. I mean, look, they got to go do it. They've got to win 6, 7, 8 games this year, and that's really going to be the bottom line. But they're developing a base right now. They're developing a culture and an atmosphere around this program that are about work and about climbing and about championships. And, tonight's going to be a big step towards that. So we're going to see. I've got a lot of faith in these guys. I've been a staunch advocate for Adam Fuller. I've been behind him the whole way, and I know there's a lot of people out there that disagree with me, but I don't think Mike Norvell knows failure, and I don't think that's going to start now.
And Kevin, can you give Travis Hunter some faculty lounge tips for when he starts showing up over there?
Yeah, no, yeah, he can always stay at my place if he needs a place to stay. But
oh, you heard it here first.
But Yeah, no, I think I want to end my closing remarks here with a question for David. We talked about what 9 people when you got Travis Hunter, AJ Duffy, you got the tight end, the 2 wide receivers, the 2 linebackers, and the 2 offensive linemen. I think that makes 9 or 8. I don't remember. But out of the people we talked about today, how many of them do you think would you give a greater than 50% chance are coming to Florida State?
Oh, damn. That's a good question. So I would say Kevin Coleman. I would say EJ Lightsey. I'd say, or no, is EJ coming? No, I'm sorry. I'm confusing. So guys who are going to be there tonight. Coleman. I think Bishop Thomas, that's a guy we didn't touch on, a defensive tackle that Odell really, really likes. I think if they give him the green light, he's on commit watch. I'm not quite ready to say that about Daniel. I want to say it about Daniel Martin. I don't think I'm quite ready about it if he shows up. I'm not sure if he will or not.
Please tell me. Daniel Martin's my favorite. He's a stud.
Dude, he's so good. So of the 9 kids we talked about tonight, I'd say roughly half of them. I'd say, Daughtry Richardson, I probably feel the strongest about. I feel really strong about Kevin Coleman right now too, man. I mean, Alabama's going to shoot their shot, and that's going to be tough. But I'd say around half. FSU has a legitimate better than 50% shot right now. It's tough though, because again, so much is going to come down to the season. I'm with Coach AB. I think you got to go 500 this season. You got to go 500. You got to make a bowl game. If you can do that, and if you can just show through tape, through film, through visits, this is where we need you. This is exactly how we're going to utilize you. And this is where we can go with you on this team. I think as long as they can do that, I think they have a really good shot at, kind of hovering around that top 10 recruitment class. They're probably 10-ish would be a great finish this year. Boy, 2023, man. I mean, you're talking about some serious prospects who really like Florida State. So if they can lock it down this year, I hate to say it, but the sky's kind of the limit for 2023 if they can keep moving in the right direction with this. So
I just want to call out one other name that I feel like he's kind of the overlooked prospect. Sam McCall, the kid's a stud. Finding the right position for him, I think, will be the challenge. But he just oozes with talent at all, and I'd be remiss to not also mention him as another guy that's on campus, another guy that's just like Duffy and Hunter really seems to be the kind of the main Florida State recruiting cheerleaders, or what do you want to call them for recruiting. So can't forget him. Just a lot of incredible names that are going to be on campus tonight and through this week. So for triple option, Kevin Little, Coach AB Adam Brown, Trey Rowland's mustache, and also with Seminole Rap, David Stout, Tomahawk Nation. I'm Tim Allenwall, and this has been a triple option Seminole Rap Tomahawk Nation collaboration, and this has been a triple option wrap.